In this video, you will learn what to do before, during, and after a test, as well as learn tips on how to answer different types of questions. Before the test, show up to class, especially on review days. By going to class, you will get all the notes you need. You can also pick up on what the professor thinks is important and know exactly what to study, which will save you time in the long run. Rewrite your notes as soon as possible after class. You can use mapping and diagramming with colors to help you distinguish between important topics in your notes. Make a note sheet or note cards to study important topics or vocabulary words when you have a few minutes, such as in between classes. Talk with your professor. Ask them what is on the test and ask if you can have an old test to study with. You can also clarify anything you don't understand. Have plenty of time to study and don't wait until last minute to cram. You probably won't have time to get your questions answered. Studying in chunks is easier to group information together. Studying regularly will also help you put information into your long-term memory. Don't cram. You won't remember material as long, which may hurt you for a cumulative test or in class if you need to know things like definitions. Find a quiet area to study so that you can concentrate. Take regular study breaks so that your mind can get a rest. Study with a partner or group. Explain the answer to a question to a friend. If you can teach it, you can master it faster. Get a good night's sleep. You may think it is a good idea to stay up late studying, but you may be tired the next morning, meaning you are less able to concentrate on the test, or you may oversleep in the morning, causing more stress. Eat a good meal before the test and drink plenty of water. Your brain can focus on the test instead of your stomach. Go to the bathroom before you enter the classroom. You may not be able to re-enter the classroom, and it also wastes valuable test time. Be early to the test. You can ask the professor questions you have, and the professor may give out hints or other information about the test. You can also spend a few minutes studying or relaxing. During the test, make sure you have all the resources you are able to use. This could include a calculator or an approved note sheet. Write down your name, date, section, and any other pertinent information, such as formulas, down first so you do not forget to do so. If the professor does not know whose test they are grading, they may not give credit. Do a memory dump. As soon as you get the test, write down information you may need later on during the test, such as formulas, dates, and names. If you write them down in the margins, you can focus on the test better, and you do not have to worry about forgetting the information. Read and follow the directions. They may give you hints or tell you how to complete each problem. For example, you may need to select more than one answer on a multiple choice test. Keep your eyes on your own paper. The professor may not allow you to finish your test and/or give you a 0%, or you could have more serious repercussions. Write legibly. If the professor cannot read it, it will most likely be marked incorrect. Read or skim through the whole test first. Some questions may hint at answers for others. Budget time for each question. Some questions, such as an essay question, will take more time than a multiple choice question, so make sure you know how much time you have for each question. Check how many points each question is worth. A question worth more points may have more steps or need more information. Do problems you know how to do, starting with problems worth the most points first. By starting with problems with the most points first, you will receive more points. If you get stuck, mark the question to come back to later. Make sure you read the whole question carefully. Don't assume you know what it's asking for a few words in. Stick with your first choice or answer. Usually your first answer is correct, but in some questions, such as multiple choice questions, the most common incorrect answer may be a choice. With this in mind, your professor will not try to trick you into an incorrect answer. Only change the answer if you misread or misinterpreted the question. Your first answer is usually correct. If there is no penalty for guessing, write down an educated guess. You are more likely to get partial credit for having something written down. Ask for clarification. You may know the answer to a question, but the wording of the question may be throwing you off. Don't worry if others finish before you. Take your time and don't rush and make mistakes. Some people are faster test takers and they are able to answer questions quicker. Some students may not know how to answer some of the questions and may have left them blank. Look over your test before handing it in. Make sure that you have answered each question. Read through each answer and make sure it is complete and answers what the question asked for. Double check to make sure your name and other important information is on the test. Is your name on the test? After the test, check for any grading mistakes. You can earn back some points if a question was counted incorrect but should be correct, bringing up your grade. Make sure you understand the mistakes you made. Talk to the professor or a classmate about what you missed on the test, as the material may show up on a later test, or you may need to know the material to be able to learn and apply new material. Analyze how you did. What types of questions did you do poorly on? Was there a topic you did poorly on? Make notes about the test for future reference, especially if the professor reviews in class. This could include answers to test questions and how the professor grades. Save your test as a study guide for future tests. You can see the types of questions the professor asks, and some of the material may be the same. Not satisfied with your grade? Talk to your professor. See if there are any retakes or extra credit. Some professors do not allow either, but you can discuss how to do better on the next test. Matching questions. First of all, read the directions. Is there a one-to-one correlation with answer choices and answer blanks, or can there be more than one answer for each question? Read the items in each column. Match the ones you know for sure. Cross out the answer choices you use if they can only be used once. Make an educated guess on the rest of them. Is the question asking for a date or person? Find an answer choice that matches that description. Multiple choice questions. Carefully read the question. See if you can choose only one answer or more than one answer for each question. Watch for certain words such as not, sometimes, always, or never. These can change the meaning of the question, and you may be looking for an exception or a special case. Read all of the choices. One choice may be partly true, but another one may be more true. Cross out any choices that are incorrect. It increases the likelihood that you will have the correct answer, and it can also reinforce that the answer you have chosen is correct. Be cautious of all of the above and none of the above. If you can cross out one answer, then all of the above is no longer a choice. Similarly, if you know that at least one of the answer choices is correct, then none of the above is incorrect. If you think there are two correct answers and all of the above is an answer choice, then it could be the answer. Read the question and possible answers before reading a passage. This allows you to read for a purpose of finding the answer. True-false questions. Read the statement very carefully. If part of the statement is false, then the answer is false. If the statement is true, every part must be true. Pay attention to negatives and double negatives. With a negative, drop the negative word. If the sentence is true without the negative word, then a statement is false. Double negatives. Two negatives make a positive. Make both negatives positive. Determine if the statement is true or false. These words may indicate a true statement. Some, few, many, often, sometimes, and generally. And these words may indicate a false statement. Never, all, every, only, always. Fill in the blank questions. Read the whole question to see what is being asked. More blanks typically mean more words or answers. For example, if there are two blanks, the professor is probably looking for 2 words or 2 answers. Read the sentence to make sure your answer makes sense. For example, the question may be asking for a verb, so you should not put a noun in there. Short answer and essay questions. Read and follow the directions. Make sure to read the directions to know what you are writing about. Don't assume that you know what to do or what the question is asking if you don't read or don't completely read the directions. Reading the directions also allows you to fully answer the question and only give pertinent information. Ask questions if you need clarification. Be organized and specific in your response. Think about your answer before you begin to write it. Organizing your thoughts will help the essay flow better. Be specific and provide details in your response to show the instructor that you know the material, but make sure you don't ramble. If you do not know exact information, such as a date, then approximate it. Reword the prompt in your response. It gives you direction in your response, and the reader, or your instructor, will know what the answer is about. Be mindful of answer length. A short answer question usually requires a paragraph or two. An essay question requires a response of at least 2 paragraphs. Write appropriately and correctly. Make sure to write clearly and legibly. If an instructor cannot read the essay, you may not get points. Use paragraphs to separate out ideas, and you may include an introduction and conclusion. Proofread and revise your response. Make sure to allow time to read through your essay to check for grammatical errors as well as for content errors. Short answer questions types. There are many different types of short answer questions. For a definition question, you will need to define a concept. For an explanation question, you need to explain something or how something functions. For an example question, you will need to give an example of a concept or phenomenon. In a relationship question, you need to show how something is related, such as a similarity, difference, or cause and effect. In a calculation question, you will need to compute a numerical answer or response. And in a graphing question, you will need to create a graphical answer. With an identification question, the professor is usually looking for a shorter or more concise answer. Guide words include summarize, list, describe, define, enumerate, and state. In an explanation question, the professor usually requires a more in-depth answer with supporting details. Guide words can include discuss, explain, analyze, and illustrate. For a comparison question, the professor is looking for similarities, differences, and connections. Guide words can include compare, contrast, and relate. For an argumentative question, you must take an opinion and defend it with an analysis and information. Guide words can include prove and justify. For an assessment question, you must determine acceptable criteria and defend it in regards to an issue or idea. Guide words can include evaluate, criticize, evaluate, and interpret. Open book test. Preparation is important. The book is a great resource, but your instructor is not grading you on how well you can look up an answer. Prepare for an open book test as you would for any other test by studying the material, highlighting your notes, bookmarking certain chapters and pages, and so on. By studying for the test, you can answer some questions without even using your book, allowing you more time to look up answers for other questions. You most likely won't have time to look up every single answer, so you must prepare for the test ahead of time. Organize your materials. Make sure you have all the materials you can use, such as your textbooks and notes. Know what is on the test beforehand and mark where the information is at in your text and notes. For example, you can put sticky notes at the beginning and end of a chapter or where certain definition or key topics are. Don't plagiarize. Don't copy anything directly from the book. You may be able to use a quote or citation, but you will need to be able to put it in your own words if possible. Manage your time effectively. Skim the test to see how many questions you have to determine how much time you can spend on each question. Then, start with the questions you can answer without using your reference materials. When answering your questions, be concise, accurate, and thorough with your answers, but don't over-answer the questions. By doing this, you will have more time to answer other questions on the test. Oral exam. Prepare and practice. Have a thorough understanding of what will be on the test. You can ask the teacher what will be on the exam so you can have a better understanding of what to study. Practice by writing possible questions you may be asked and practice answering. You can also practice with a classmate or tutor to ensure your information is correct. Give a good first impression. Your exam starts the second you walk in the door. Make sure that you are on time to the test and that you walk into the door with a smile and an interested look. Be dressed properly and professionally. Don't ramble. Make sure that you answer questions to the fullest extent, but also be concise. If you don't know the answer to a question, say so, but mention how you would go about finding the answer. Use visual aids and technology wisely. You can use visual aids and technology during your exam, but don't rely on them, and do not use them unless they enhance your presentation. Be aware of body language. Pay attention to your body language to make sure that it reinforces what you are saying, not contradicting it. As with visual aids and technology, make sure that your body language enhances your presentation. Thank your instructor when the exam is over. This helps wrap up your exam and leaves a good impression with your instructor.